college graduates on average earn much higher salaries than non-graduates do. One hypothesis is that college teaches you useful things and employers find these things valuable and so pay you more because you went to college. A problem with this theory is that even college students who study utterly impractical things like, medieval history still earn higher salaries. Now, one reason might be, and this was the one that makes colleges look good, that colleges teach you thinking skills and you can apply these thinking skills generally. So if you work at a bank, you're better off because you studied medieval history. But another hypothesis, and this one doesn't make colleges look so good, is that it's the people that colleges select for, that colleges select for smart and hardworking people. And so naturally, they tend to go on and make more, even if colleges add absolutely no value. So then next level is, well, why would smart, hardworking people go to college if colleges don't add value? Well, it could be we're in this weird world where almost all smart, hardworking people, and let's say people who can accept authority, go to college. So by going to college, you prove that you're smart, hardworking, and willing to accept authority. And if you don't go to college, employers won't believe you have these traits. The minimum wage is the lowest wage that you're legally allowed to pay a worker. Why do employers ever pay more than this? And as with all the questions, why don't you think of your own answer before you hear mine? Well, I think the answer is competition among employers. But let's say I have an employee working for my company and I'm paying her the minimum wage, but she's really good. Well, another employer will say, hey, I'm going to steal that employee away. You're paying her the minimum wage. I'll pay her the minimum wage plus $2 an hour. Then I'll try to steal her back by paying her the minimum wage plus $4 an hour. And if everyone does this, a lot of employees will end up earning far more than the minimum wage. So again, competition among employers pushes up wages, usually well above the legal minimum wage. If airbags are effective, they reduce the cost of dangerous driving. If you drive while texting, you're less likely to be killed, the better your car's safety equipment. And if we reduce the cost of something, you'd expect people to do more of it. This relates to one of the fundamental principles of microeconomics. People respond to incentives. Again, people respond to incentives. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, no, people aren't that rational. I mean, you don't really think about getting an accident when deciding whether to drink or drive or text and drive or to speed. I don't agree with that. I think, not everyone does, but I think some people do. And part of the evidence is that if you look at car commercials, some of them advertise that their cars are very safe. So certainly the car manufacturers, who I'm sure have done a lot of market research, they think that, car drivers are worried about dying in car accidents. So this is a paradoxical result, but if you make cars safer, people will respond by taking more risks when they drive, which will cause more accidents. So it's actually ambiguous whether adding a safety feature to a car would increase or decrease the number of deaths from automobile accidents. But one economist has sort of a radical proposal that what we should really do is put a spike on steering wheels aimed at the driver's heart. So imagine you're driving a car, you don't have a seatbelt on, and there's a spike pointed right at your heart. You get in an accident, it goes, and kills you. Boy, I bet that would probably reduce the number of automobile deaths. I mean, you certainly wouldn't text and drive if you've got that spike pressed up against your chest. Okay, the answer to this one, I think, is ambiguous. So if there's a law prohibiting discrimination against homosexuals, certainly the one effect will be that employers will not openly discriminate against homosexuals. No employer is going to put up a sign saying, people who are gay need not apply. So that will help homosexuals getting jobs. But, people aren't always honest. And so employers might secretly discriminate against homosexuals. You apply for a job, you don't get it. You usually don't know why. They usually tell you something bland. It's like if someone asks you on a date and the reason you don't want to go on a date is you find them smelly or ugly. You usually just say, oh, I'm kind of busy this weekend. Employers are often the same way, sometimes for legal reasons, but they often will not give you an honest reason why they don't want to hire you. Now, a lot of people, when they get fired, get really mad at their employer and often, think maybe I should sue them. Sometimes they should sue them. Sometimes they were fired for totally unjust reasons. But if you have a law prohibiting discrimination against homosexuals or any other class, that gives that class a possible reason to sue you. And it makes it more likely that they'll sue you. So it's actually more it's riskier to hire someone in a protected class. So this again illustrates an important principle of economics, that when the government tries to help a group, sometimes it can do more harm than good. So let's just think this through. Imagine there's an employee who really, no animosity towards homosexuals. It just, he's going to hire the person that makes him the most money. Doesn't care at all if the person's gay or not. But recognizes, I hire someone and, maybe there's a 25% chance I'm going to need to fire them. And the same with any group, whether the person's gay or not, 25% chance I'm going to fire them. Now, if I fire a person, for all what I think are completely legitimate reasons, they're probably going to think that I did it for inappropriate reasons. Now, if I hire someone from a protected class, I'll have to be careful about firing them. If I hire someone not from a protected class, well, I can fire them easily. So the employer who has no hostility towards homosexuals might be less likely to hire someone who's gay if they know it's harder to fire people who are gay. This can be a paradoxical result of laws protecting people who are gay. Imagine that for the next day you're given the power of Superman. What should you do? This question is meant to get at opportunity cost. It would be a complete waste for you to spend your time, reducing muggings in your area or foiling a few bank robberies. What can you do that would best help mankind? Now, there's not an obvious right answer to this question, but what I would do is I think I would get rid of weapons of mass destruction in the world and attempt to terraform Mars, make Mars Earth-like, and then move a whole bunch of useful equipment to Mars. So women, on average, earn significantly lower salaries than men do. Why? Well, economists, we don't completely know the answer, but let me give you some possible theories. One is, of course, maybe discrimination. Maybe in some industries, people think, women aren't as qualified or shouldn't be in this kind of job, and that hurts women. That certainly could be true. Another issue could be life choices that, for whatever reason, when a couple has a child, if couple's male-female, the female is much more likely to drop out of the marketplace for a while, and that's going to permanently negatively impact her earnings. I mean, imagine, male and female, equal skill, they both go to law school, they both start working for law firms. They work until they're 32. Then the female drops out for 8 years and raises kids. The male continues to work. He continues to gain skills, he meets clients, he develops relationships, while, the woman the woman who's a mother didn't. So when the woman enters the workforce again, she's going to be at a permanent disadvantage. It'll be very hard for her ever to recover. This, of course, doesn't mean she made a mistake. The goal in life is most certainly not to maximize your income. No economist thinks that. But still, that, the fact that women are much more likely to drop out of the marketplace to raise kids than men, I think that can explain a lot of the wage gap between men and women. So sometimes car insurance companies will give discounts to people who take a driver's education course. So in the United States, if you get a car, you have to get insurance, and the insurance will pay out if you get in an accident. And sometimes there are things you can do to reduce how much you have to pay the insurance company. Now, it would make perfect sense if the driver's education course made you a better driver. Then the insurance company would say, oh, you're a better risk, so we'll give you a discount. But I think it's possible that even if the driver's education course did absolutely nothing to improve your driver's skills, still the insurance company might want to give discounts to customers who took the course. Why is that? Why don't you try to think of an answer? I think the answer is because of who would take the course. Probably the people who would take a driver's education course are the people who care about safe driving. And even if the course doesn't make you a better driver, it signals that you're a better driver. And so when insurance companies compete for customers, they want customers who are unlikely to get an accident. So they'll say, oh, this guy took a driver's education course. Yeah, the course is total crap. It teaches you nothing of value. But the fact that the driver took the course, that signals he cares about drinking. We bet he's not going to text while driving. So we'll give him a discount because we want to win him from the other insurance companies.